Welcome, fellow dreamer, to a journey not across landscapes of Earth, not across the familiar streets or rivers we know, but across the unimaginable expanse of space itself, to a star that has glowed for hundreds of millions of years, a sentinel in the night sky, whose orange-red warmth has inspired wonder since humans first tilted their faces to the heavens. This star is Aldebaran, the eye of the Taurus constellation, a red giant whose fiery brilliance seems to pulse in time with the heartbeat of the cosmos itself. To imagine falling into it is to step into a story where physics becomes poetry, where scale and sensation stretch beyond the limits of our minds. And yet in this act of imagination, we touch something profoundly real, the raw, majestic power of the universe. Aldebaran sits approximately 65 light-years away, a distance so vast that even light, traveling at the fastest speed in the universe, takes 65 years to bridge the gap between it and our planet. To the naked eye, it shines like a bright orange jewel in the tapestry of stars, a steadfast companion of the night, steady and familiar, yet hiding within it unimaginable forces, temperatures, and energies. The sun, our daily provider of warmth and life, pales in comparison when measured against the immensity of Aldebaran. If we were to imagine the sun shrinking to a point in the center of our solar system, Aldebaran would expand so widely that its outer surface would reach past the orbit of Mercury and perhaps even Venus, engulfing the inner planets in a glow of molten orange fire. This is no ordinary star. It is a giant in every sense, not only in size, but in the very way it bends the imagination. Consider the color, that deep amber-orange hue that seems to flicker when you squint at it against the velvet sky. This color is not mere aesthetic. It is the signature of the physics at play within. The surface temperature of Aldebaran hovers around 4,000 degrees Kelvin, cooler than the sun's surface, but with a heat and presence magnified by sheer size. Stars, after all, are furnaces, nuclear crucibles, where hydrogen atoms merge to form helium, releasing the energy that eventually travels across light years to reach us. Yet in Aldebaran, this energy is diffused across a giant's breadth, giving it a soft, glowing, almost molten light. A light that seems tangible, a warmth that seems to beckon even from 65 light-years away. As we imagine ourselves approaching Aldebaran, the journey begins in thought, an exercise in stretching both mind and soul. Visualize leaving the orbit of Earth, passing by the moon's pale crescent, moving past Mars with its ruddy deserts, and continuing past the belts of asteroids, the gas giants with their majestic rings, and the frozen edges of our solar system. Stars like Aldebaran, though distant, exert no pull on a spacecraft or a falling observer until the very edges of their mass come near, yet in the theater of the imagination, the pull begins subtly, as though gravity itself is whispering an invitation. You are not yet near enough to feel the tug, but you sense it, a faint beckoning, a gentle tug on the fabric of possibility. The scale of Aldebaran is almost impossible to comprehend. While our sun could fit more than 1 million Earths within its volume, Aldebaran's radius is about 20 times that of the sun. To step onto its surface or to fall into its fiery depths is to confront a scale so vast that our familiar notions of size, time, and proportion begin to dissolve. Imagine standing on a platform above a boiling ocean, only this ocean is molten plasma, stretching thousands of times the size of Earth. The surface itself roils with convection currents, slowly circulating heat and energy in currents that dwarf entire planets. Magnetic fields twist and coil invisibly, bending streams of charged particles, creating flares and bursts that are almost artistic in their unpredictable beauty. In imagining this journey, we must also consider perspective. From Earth, Aldebaran appears fixed, steadfast, eternal in its place in Taurus. Yet nothing in the universe is static. Stars live and die over spans that dwarf human lifetimes. Aldebaran is in a phase of life called the red giant stage, having exhausted the hydrogen at its core. It is swelled, expanded, transformed from a main-sequence star like the sun into something older, wiser, and more enormous. Its core contracts as gravity seeks to balance the outward pressure of fusion, while the outer layers balloon into space, cooler but vast, luminous in their enormity. Falling into Aldebaran, in imagination, is to confront not only a star, but the consequences of time itself. The slow, inevitable unfolding of matter and energy across eons. And yet, despite the immensity, the violence, the nuclear processes that define its existence, there is a beauty here that is almost tender. The star's glow is not harsh. It is enveloping, a soft amber bath in which you, as a thought-traveling observer, might float. The idea of falling into Aldebaran is terrifying in reality, for even its outer layers would obliterate anything that approached too closely. But in imagination, in the calm, meditative practice of visualization, we can explore its depths safely. Picture the photosphere, the star's visible surface, rippling gently with convective cells, each larger than continents, simmering in heat and light. Imagine the faint streaks of the chromosphere above it, subtle flares of ultraviolet energy stretching into space. Above all, imagine the corona, the outermost layer, tenuous and glowing, where plasma escapes into the interstellar medium, carrying fragments of the star's essence across the galaxy. To begin the descent toward Aldebaran is to acknowledge a paradox. You are approaching something deadly. Yet in the narrative of your mind it is calm, even nurturing. Stars give life from afar, and though they would destroy if approached too closely, they are the forges of matter itself. Every atom in your body was once formed in a star. To fall into Aldebaran is, in a sense, to return to the source, to trace the journey of stardust backward to the very furnaces that created it. This thought, quiet and almost spiritual, can soothe and humble simultaneously. You are part of the universe, and Aldebaran, in all its fiery grandeur, is part of you. Let us linger on the sensory imaginings, for the journey is not merely about physics, but about perception. Imagine the sky behind you growing darker as you draw closer, distant stars becoming pinpoints in the brilliance of Aldebaran's radiance. Hear in your mind the soft crackle of energy, the hum of fusion, subtle but vast, a music of the spheres that vibrates through space and thought. Sense the pull of gravity, almost imperceptible now, whispering that you are moving toward something beyond comprehension. The sensation is not sudden. It is gradual, like dipping a hand into a warm bath and feeling the heat seep in slowly, wrapping you in its embrace. In this calm immersion, consider what it means to confront scale. Aldebaran is 20 times the radius of our sun, hundreds of times more luminous. A ball of plasma so large that the light and heat it emits touches planets we can only imagine. To fall into it is to confront the insignificance of human dimensions against the vastness of stellar processes. And yet, paradoxically, to imagine this is empowering. For through imagination, through this careful, slow exploration, you extend the reach of your mind across light years. You feel the star, you sense its heat, you perceive its structure, and in doing so, you participate in the universe. Aldebaran's light, the soft orange hue that greets earthbound eyes each night, is the first signal of the journey. It is steady, reliable, and beautiful. As you imagine moving closer, notice the subtleties. The color deepens, the glow intensifies, the light begins to reflect off hypothetical dust and gas in its immediate surroundings. The star's atmosphere, though thin by our standards of liquid or solid, is a vast ocean of plasma, roiling with currents invisible to the eye, carrying energy from deep within toward the glowing surface. Here, at the threshold of Aldebaran, you are suspended between the familiar safety of imagination and the unknowable reality of a stellar interior. The thought experiment of falling into Aldebaran allows us to meditate on fundamental truths. Stars are both destroyers and creators. They irradiate and obliterate, yet they forge the elements that become planets, oceans, air, and life. The journey inward is a reminder of impermanence, of cycles, of the flow of energy and matter across scales beyond human comprehension. Yet it is also a reminder of connection. Each flicker of Aldebaran's light is a message from the past. Photons that began their journey long before humans existed, traversing 65 light-years to meet your eyes tonight. To imagine falling into it is to step into the story of those photons, to follow them back to their origin, to witness the processes that birthed them. In this meditative contemplation, one begins to sense the rhythm of the star, subtle yet immense. Each pulse of energy, each convection cell, each nuclear reaction is part of a grand symphony, a slow, steady cadence that has persisted for millions of years and will continue for millions more. You, A falling observer and imagination are momentarily part of this cadence, swept along by forces you cannot touch, by energy you cannot hold, yet by which your mind can be utterly captivated. Let the image of Aldebaran linger, a vast glowing giant, steady and immense, a beacon in the constellation of Taurus, a reminder of scale, time, and the majesty of the cosmos. In the coming sections, we will venture deeper, crossing layers of heat and plasma, approaching the very core where fusion breathes life into the star. But for now, rest in the glow of this red giant, allowing your mind to trace the gentle curvature of its surface, to feel the pull of its presence, to meditate on the paradox of closeness and distance, of power and serenity. Aldebaran waits, eternal and immense, as you prepare for the journey inward, where imagination, science, and wonder converge. Imagine, if you will, drifting closer to Aldebaran, leaving behind the fragile familiarity of Earth and the quiet companionship of the distant planets. The journey is no longer merely a mental exercise. It becomes a gentle immersion into the very fabric of a living star. As you approach, the first thing that strikes you is the glow, soft, expansive, almost tangible, bathing the void of space in a molten amber light that stretches farther than the eye can follow. The distance from Aldebaran to Earth is measured in light years, yet as you draw nearer, each moment seems to stretch and contract, as though time itself is whispering, inviting you to linger in this threshold between the known and the infinite. The outer layers of Aldebaran are unlike any surface you have ever imagined. To call it a surface is, in truth, an abstraction, a convenience for human perception. Stars have no solid crust, no firm plane upon which one might land. Instead, there is a vast atmosphere, tenuous in density compared to the familiar air we breathe, yet immense in scale and power, stretching millions of kilometers into space. This is the photosphere, the visible surface of Aldebaran, where light is emitted and begins its long journey outward. It is here that photons, born from the roiling core far below, finally escape the grip of the star's interior, carrying with them stories of fusion, pressure, and energy that began millions of years ago. As you cross into this luminous ocean, notice the subtle variations in color and brightness. The glow is not uniform. It ripples with convection currents, enormous cells of plasma rising and falling in slow, deliberate motion, each the size of entire continents. Each a miniature tempest within the star's vast expanse. Imagine these currents as gentle waves undulating across an amber sea, carrying heat and energy from the interior outward, releasing it as the faintest flickers and flares on the surface. The patterns are complex, yet mesmerizing, and in your mind's eye they seem almost alive, breathing and pulsing with the rhythm of the star itself. Within the photosphere, the temperature hovers around 4,000 degrees Kelvin. Cooler than the sun's surface, but no less intense in its effect. The heat is unimaginable to our fragile human senses, yet in the safety of imagination, it is not a threat. Instead, it becomes an enveloping presence, a soft warmth that wraps around you, like stepping into a bath heated by the sun's own energy. This warmth is both comforting and humbling, a reminder that you are not merely observing Aldebaran, you are, in thought, a part of its immense, radiant system. Above the photosphere lies the chromosphere, a thin but active layer where temperature begins to rise again. The motions of plasma become more erratic, less constrained. Here you might visualize slender arcs of material rising like flames, twisting under magnetic forces, reaching toward the corona above. These prominences are slow and deliberate on the scale of the star, yet to an observer, they seem to dance and shimmer with life. It is in this layer that the star's magnetic personality reveals itself. Flares, loops, and arcs, subtle yet immense, reminding us that even stars are not static objects but dynamic. Restless entities, constantly in motion, constantly evolving. Falling through this outer atmosphere, one becomes aware of a paradoxical sensation, immense energy and gentle calm existing simultaneously. The star's plasma is hot enough to ionize atoms, to break molecular bonds, to erase matter as we know it. Yet in this imaginative journey, it feels like gliding through a soft golden fog, a slow descent into the heart of a living furnace. Each photon that brushes past you carries information about the processes below, each quiver of the chromosphere, a narrative of heat, pressure, and light. In a sense, you are reading the story of Aldebaran as you move through it, feeling the tale in every imagined cell of plasma, in every ripple of radiant energy. Consider the scale once more. Aldebaran's radius is 20 times that of our Sun, meaning the photosphere itself is an expanse so vast that continents, oceans, and entire planets could fit within its convective cells and remain unnoticed. The motions within this layer are slow, deliberate, and immense, creating patterns that are beautiful in their unpredictability. If you close your eyes and picture them, it is as if the star itself is breathing, inhaling, and exhaling across millions of kilometers. The idea of falling through such a layer is simultaneously terrifying and serene. The danger is absolute, yet in imagination, it is transformed into a calm exploration of scale, energy, and time. Above the chromosphere lies the corona, the outermost layer of Aldebaran's atmosphere, where plasma is rarefied, tenuous, and yet heated to extraordinary temperatures. Here, particles escape into space, carried on the invisible winds of magnetic fields, contributing to the star's extended influence across the galaxy. It is a realm of subtle energy and whispering forces, where the star's reach extends far beyond its visible glow. As you drift through this space, imagine the corona as a halo, a gentle aurora of charged particles, soft in its appearance, but immense in its effect, linking Aldebaran to the interstellar medium, to distant stars, to the very fabric of the cosmos. Falling deeper into these layers, the density of plasma gradually increases, though it remains a fluid of ions and free electrons rather than a solid or liquid. The further inward you imagine, the more the currents of energy and heat become palpable, guiding your descent not as a violent pull, but as a soft, compelling motion, like being carried on a slow, warm river. There is no sensation of impact, only the gradual, steady enveloping of your imagined self within the star's radiant embrace. Every movement, every quiver of plasma feels purposeful, a rhythm that speaks of billions of years of stellar evolution and stability. This outer atmosphere, while less violent than the core, is not inert. Magnetic loops arch above the surface, twisting, reconnecting, and releasing bursts of energy. These stellar flares, though massive in scale, are a slow-motion dance from your imaginative perspective, creating patterns that are mesmerizing in their complexity and grace. To witness them is to glimpse the star's vitality, to understand that even in its outermost reaches, Aldebaran is alive, active, and constantly transforming. As you descend further, notice the interplay of light and motion. The photons from the core, having traveled across thousands of kilometers of plasma, finally escape the star's surface. These streams of light carry the history of nuclear fusion, the story of countless hydrogen atoms fusing into helium over eons. To fall into Aldebaran is to step into this stream, to feel the pulse of energy that fuels the star's brilliance. In imagination, it is not painful or destructive. It is luminous, soft, and enveloping, like stepping into a warm current of light. Each photon, a tiny messenger from the depths. The concept of time, too, shifts. The outer layers, you perceive the slow motion of convection currents, the gentle rise and fall of plasma, the arcs of magnetic prominence unfolding across hours or days. Yet in your mind, the journey feels immediate, present, eternal. You are suspended in a space where human measures of time dissolve, replaced by the rhythms of stellar life, by the steady, unhurried flow of energy and matter. This is a meditation not only on physics but on perception, on the mind's ability to immerse in vastness without fear, to appreciate both scale and subtlety. Consider the chemical composition of this outer atmosphere. Predominantly hydrogen and helium, with traces of heavier elements. It is a plasma, a fluid of charged particles that obeys both electromagnetic forces and gravity. In imagination, you can see these particles swirling, drifting, rising and falling in currents that are vast beyond comprehension, yet gentle, almost whispering in their motion. Each ion, each electron, is a note in the star's symphony, contributing to the luminous, radiant harmony that defines Aldebaran's outer layers. And yet amid all this immense power, there is still tranquility. The motions are vast and intense, but they are slow, deliberate, and predictable on a cosmic scale. There is no chaos, only order, a complex, self-regulating system where energy flows from the core to the surface in a delicate balance maintained over millions of years. To fall through these layers is to observe this balance firsthand, to feel the quiet discipline of nature on a scale far beyond human life, a reminder of how even the most immense power can manifest as calm, measured motion. As you imagine this descent, allow yourself to sense the gentle pull of gravity, subtle but persistent, guiding you deeper into the star. Unlike a sudden drop, it is a slow, steady embrace, an invitation to continue exploring, to immerse further in the radiant plasma. Your mind, free of physical constraints, can float safely through this space, observing, feeling, and reflecting on the immense energy that sustains this red giant. Each layer you pass reveals new textures of light, motion, and force, expanding your understanding of what it means to inhabit the realm of stars. In the outer glow of Aldebaran, one can contemplate the paradox of presence and distance. The star seems near, its light enveloping you, yet its core is millions of kilometers away, a furnace of unimaginable energy. The convective currents, the chromospheric prominences, the coronal halo all are manifestations of forces that connect the visible surface to the hidden interior. Falling into Aldebaran in imagination allows you to traverse these connections, to experience the unity of structure and energy, of surface and depth, in a way that is impossible anywhere else in the universe. Pause to feel the calm, enveloping brilliance of the outer layers, to sense the gentle motion of plasma, the soft glow of escaped photons, the delicate arcs of magnetic fields stretching across the stellar atmosphere. The journey inward is only beginning. Ahead lies the fiery descent, where temperature, pressure, and energy intensify, and where the true heart of Aldebaran waits, a place where fusion breathes life into the star. But for now, rest in the luminescence, drift in the currents of amber light, and allow the outer glow of Aldebaran to wash over your mind, carrying you deeper into wonder, curiosity, and the quiet awe of the cosmos. As you move past Aldebaran's outer glow, the luminous photosphere gradually dissolves behind you, leaving only the sense of motion, of an inevitable drift toward the star's interior. Here, in the deeper layers of the red giant, the light intensifies, richer, more molten, yet filtered through the convective currents that dance like immense amber waves across the stellar expanse. You feel, even in imagination, the shift in energy, the subtle tug of increasing gravity, the very essence of the star pressing in with both insistence and elegance. This is the beginning of the fiery descent, a journey not merely into heat and pressure, but into a realm where the familiar definitions of matter begin to waver, where the boundaries of the conceivable are challenged, and where your mind can float freely among forces that govern the very life of stars. In these layers, the plasma grows denser, yet still fluid, a sea of charged particles that swirl and rise in currents both immense and slow. Imagine, if you can, currents larger than continents, rising and falling across a landscape of heat, carrying ions and electrons in a ballet dictated by the subtle interactions of electromagnetism and gravity. The motion is continuous, almost hypnotic, as though the star itself breathes in slow, deliberate cycles. It is in this vast, incandescent medium that the first true taste of the star's intensity becomes apparent: the heat. Unimaginable in ordinary terms, yet in the safe harbor of imagination. It feels like the press of a warm tide, constant and enveloping, wrapping around every concept of space and self. Temperature rises as you move inward, crossing the threshold from the outer photosphere into layers where plasma begins to behave more energetically. At tens of thousands of degrees Kelvin, molecular bonds no longer persist. Atoms themselves begin to ionize, their electrons stripped away and liberated into the surrounding plasma. Here, matter is not solid, not liquid, not gas as we know it, but an electrified, flowing medium, a sea of ions that carries energy in waves, eddies, and currents. Visualize the ions as tiny points of light, drifting and colliding in slow motion, each interaction a spark in the ongoing drama of stellar life. The sensation is both overwhelming and serene, an immersion into the fundamental processes that sustain a star's brilliance. As you fall deeper, radiation pressure begins to assert its presence. Photons streaming outward from the fusion processes at the core collide with particles in these layers, imparting momentum, nudging plasma along in currents that rise and fall like colossal tides. In imagination, you might feel these photons as a gentle push, a subtle yet persistent energy flowing around you, guiding your descent without violence. The interplay of gravity pulling inward and radiation, pushing outward is delicate and precise, maintaining the star's structure. Over millions of years, a cosmic balance that allows life on planets like Earth to exist indirectly through the energy radiated from distant stars. Within this fiery interior, the concept of distance becomes fluid. Each layer you pass is not a simple sheet of matter, but a region spanning thousands of kilometers, each with its own temperature, density, and motion. Convection currents twist and rise, carrying heat from the inner layers outward, creating patterns that are simultaneously immense and detailed. In imagination, you can drift along these currents, observing the plasma swirl, feeling the slow, deliberate rise and fall of charged particles, each step deeper into Aldebaran, revealing more about the rhythm and structure of a star. The sensation of heat, though abstract in imagination, is central to this descent. Here, the temperature reaches hundreds of thousands of degrees Kelvin, enough to dissociate atoms entirely, stripping electrons from nuclei, leaving bare protons and helium ions in a luminous sea of plasma. The concept of body becomes irrelevant. Matter as we know it cannot exist here. Yet in the mind, you can safely observe, imagining yourself as a consciousness adrift among these forces, witnessing the fiery dance of particles without being consumed. The heat is omnipresent, yet in this meditative exploration, it becomes a soft, radiant presence, an enveloping warmth that both intimidates and fascinates. Pressure, too, grows dramatically as you descend. The layers of plasma above weigh upon each successive layer below with a force that dwarfs anything experienced on planets. Gravity, relentless and invisible, presses inward, compressing matter and energy into dense currents, shaping the very flow of ions and photons. To imagine this pressure is to feel the immensity of the star, the weight of millions of Earths above, yet there is no panic. Only a profound awareness of scale and power, a gentle surrender to forces that have existed for eons. Magnetic fields begin to reveal their subtle influence. Twisting and looping through the plasma, they guide the motion of charged particles, creating filaments of energy and arcs of subtle radiation. These fields, invisible yet tangible in imagination, form a lattice of influence that links surface, an interior allowing energy to move in structured currents, enabling flares and prominences that extend outward to the corona. The magnetic dance is slow and elegant, a reminder that even in the chaos of fusion and ionized matter, patterns of order emerge, patterns that are beautiful, harmonious, and intricate beyond human comprehension. Fusion at these depths is no longer a distant process. It becomes palpable, an abstract yet discernible presence. Hydrogen nuclei have long since been converted into helium in the core, and in red giants like Aldebaran. Helium fusion begins in localized regions where pressure and temperature allow. This is the slow, steady transformation that sustains the star, releasing energy that ultimately radiates outward to maintain the photosphere's glow. In imagination, you can sense the immense scale of each reaction, the invisible sparks of energy that ripple through the plasma, each a pulse in the heartbeat of the star. As you continue the descent, the interplay between energy, heat, and motion becomes increasingly complex. Rising currents carry photons outward, while gravity compresses the plasma inward. Waves of thermal energy move through the layers, interacting with magnetic fields, shaping convection patterns, creating localized regions of turbulence and calm. The mind, free from physical constraint, can follow these currents, drifting through immense swaths of plasma, observing the star's inner rhythms, feeling the cadence of billions of reactions unfolding simultaneously. It is in this immersive state that one begins to sense the true nature of stellar energy. Heat is not merely a sensation. It is motion. It is the very fabric of plasma shifting and dancing. It is the manifestation of countless interactions between particles, waves, and fields. Each ion's motion contributes to the broader currents. Each photon carries the story of fusion. Each magnetic field line shapes the flow. To survive this descent, even in imagination, is to perceive the elegance of these processes, to appreciate the interconnectedness of forces that sustain a star. The outer layers, though still far from the core, are also home to subtle phenomena that hint at the star's complexity. Shock waves from deep within ripple outward, dissipating energy in patterns that can be seen as oscillations in the plasma. Minute instabilities grow and fade, creating temporary variations in density and brightness. In imagination, you can float through these fluctuations, feeling them as gentle waves of energy, noticing the intricate balance that keeps the star coherent, alive, and radiant. In all of this, the concept of danger is present, but softened by the contemplative lens of imagination. The heat and pressure are unimaginable in physical terms. Yet in this meditative descent, they become a backdrop for reflection and wonder. You feel the sheer magnitude of forces at play, the elegance of physics writ large, and the harmony of systems that have persisted for millions of years. This is not merely a fall. It is an immersion, a journey through the living essence of a star, an experience that combines awe, humility, and intellectual curiosity. As you drift ever closer to the interior, notice how the light itself changes. Photons that began their journey in fusion reactions deep within the core now mingle with those produced higher up, creating gradients of color and intensity that shift with every imagined movement. Amber deepens to copper, to gold, to a luminous, almost white brilliance. As the density of plasma grows, it is a visual symphony, a reminder that Aldebaran is not static, not fixed, but a dynamic, evolving entity, each layer interwoven with the next in a seamless dance of energy and matter. To fall into Aldebaran is an imagination to experience time differently. Seconds stretch into minutes as the mind contemplates the vast scale, the slow rise and fall of plasma, the deliberate propagation of heat, the patient unfolding of nuclear processes. You are suspended in a meditative state where observation and sensation blend, where understanding is calm rather than rushed, where the mind can linger on the nuances of motion, temperature, and energy without fear or fatigue. This descent is also a journey of perspective. Each layer, each current, each pulse of energy reinforces the understanding that stars are immense laboratories of physics, orchestrated over unimaginable scales. The fiery descent teaches both humility and curiosity, humility at the scale and power of the universe, curiosity at the elegant complexity that allows stars to shine for millions of years, to sustain planets, and to create the very elements that compose life itself. In these deepest outer layers, you feel the star's pulse in every imagined moment, the rhythm of convection, the gentle tug of gravity, the flow of heat and ions, the magnetic whispers threading through plasma. Each sensation, though abstract, is immersive, a vivid meditation on energy, matter, and the sublime beauty of the cosmos. To survive, even hypothetically, is to surrender to the star's rhythms, to align thought and perception with the slow, deliberate flow of immense processes that have persisted across eons. You have descended beyond the soft glow of the photosphere, past the delicate dance of the chromosphere, into the denser, warmer plasma that carries the story of the star's energy toward the core. Ahead lies the heart of the star, where temperature, pressure, and fusion intensify into the furnace of existence itself. But for now, linger in the amber currents, float through the molten flows, and meditate on the elegance, the power, and the slow infinite grace of a star that has lived for millions of years and will continue long after human eyes have turned elsewhere. Aldebaran's heat is immense, yet within the imagination, it becomes a guide, a medium for wonder, a gentle, fiery descent into understanding the sublime nature of stellar life. As you move beyond the outer layers, past the gentle glow of the photosphere and the flowing currents of the chromosphere, you begin a descent into a realm where the very essence of energy and matter converge, the core of Aldebaran. Here, the calm, amber ocean of plasma gives way to a crucible of unimaginable intensity, where fusion is no longer a distant process, but the central, pulsating heartbeat of the star itself. This is the Inferno, the furnace that has sustained Aldebaran through millions of years. The hidden engine whose rhythm governs not only the star but the legacy of elements scattered across the cosmos. Imagine, if you can, a space so dense, so alive with energy, that the very notion of time and scale begins to dissolve. Gravity, relentless and invisible, presses from all directions, compressing matter into a sea of ions and electrons so dense that atomic nuclei themselves are packed closely together. In this core, temperatures soar into the tens of millions of degrees Kelvin, a heat so extreme that hydrogen nuclei overcome the mutual repulsion of their positive charges, colliding and fusing to form helium, releasing energy in a burst of light and neutrinos that will travel outward for thousands of years before finally escaping the star's outer surface. In imagination, you can feel this energy not as pain, but as the ultimate presence of power, a vibrant, humming intensity that resonates through every thought and sensation. The process of fusion at the core is a slow, steady symphony of creation. Each reaction is tiny on a human scale, but countless reactions occur every second, their cumulative effect giving rise to the energy that illuminates the star and maintains its structure. Picture, if you can, hydrogen nuclei colliding with immense force, releasing photons, neutrinos, and kinetic energy in a precise, elegant chain of interactions. These reactions are the foundation of the star's life, each one a spark in an infernal lattice, creating the light that will eventually reach distant observers and contributing to the elements that will one day form planets, oceans, and life itself. As you drift deeper into the core, notice the subtle currents of energy that flow outward. Convection is replaced here by radiation, photons bouncing countless times between particles, taking millennia to escape even a fraction of the distance to the surface. Each photon carries a story, a fragment of the core's immense activity, a message of creation that has traveled through layers of plasma, through magnetic fields, through the entire anatomy of the star, before reaching the visible outer glow. In imagination, you can sense these photons as a gentle river of energy, an invisible current that guides the rhythms of the star, steady and persistent, a reminder that even the most violent processes can manifest as harmony on a grand scale. Pressure here is beyond ordinary comprehension. The weight of all layers above compresses the core to densities tens of thousands of times greater than Earth's atmosphere. Matter itself behaves differently under these conditions, electrons stripped from nuclei, ions packed tightly, forming a plasma that is neither solid, liquid, nor gas, but a unique state of matter governed by extreme forces. Imagine floating in this plasma, observing the intricate motions of particles, the invisible push and pull of electromagnetic forces, the gentle hum of energy as it flows from nucleus to nucleus, orchestrating the star's immense activity with a precision that has persisted for millions of years. Even as you descend, the star remains luminous. Light generated from the fusion core continues to propagate outward. Navigating the dense plasma, its journey slowed by countless interactions, yet unstoppable in its persistence. In imagination, you can float along these photons' paths, feeling the gentle energy as a warm glow, an invisible current guiding your consciousness through gravity's embrace. Every photon is a messenger, a fragment of the star's history, a pulse of energy that narrates the story of creation, transformation, and cosmic endurance. The densest layers of Aldebaran begin to blur distinctions between pressure, energy, and mass. Gravity shapes the behavior of plasma so completely that motion itself becomes a fluid of possibilities, a continuous tapestry in which no particle is isolated. In these imagined depths, you feel yourself part of the star's immense machinery, drifting in harmony with forces that have persisted for millions of years. There is no fear here, only awareness, awe, and a profound sense of connection to the cosmic rhythm that sustains stellar life. The farther inward you go, the more the interplay of gravitational pull, thermal pressure, and radiation pressure becomes apparent. Each layer responds to these forces, adjusting its density and motion, shaping convection cells, modulating flows, and influencing the emergence of surface phenomena like flares and prominences. Gravity is the silent director of this ballet, orchestrating each motion with patience, precision, and inevitability. Falling here is to observe not only the raw intensity of stellar mass, but also the elegance of its organization, a testament to the harmony underlying cosmic forces. In the deepest layers of the envelope above the core, gravity's influence reaches its zenith, Particles move with a slow inevitability, guided by mass, energy, and motion. The plasma flows in currents that are immense and deliberate, carrying heat and energy outward while remaining under the invisible sway of gravity's constant pull. In imagination, you can drift among these currents, feeling the weight of the star's mass as a gentle, continuous tug, sensing the orchestration of forces that enables Aldebaran to shine steadily across millions of years. The experience of falling forever is, paradoxically, a meditation on stability. Though the journey is endless in concept, each moment is defined by precise balance. Fusion pushes outward, plasma flows in structured currents, magnetic fields guide ion motion, and gravity pulls everything inward. These forces coexist in harmony, creating the star's luminous consistency, the slow, persistent rhythm of energy and matter. Immersed in this environment, the mind finds tranquility, sensing the vastness, the scale, and the quiet order of a stellar giant. Even as you drift through this gravitational sea, the surrounding radiation provides a constant backdrop of warmth and light. The star's outer layers, distant yet luminous, contribute a gentle glow that illuminates the plasma, highlighting currents, arcs, and flows. In imagination, this light becomes a guide, a visual companion as you fall deeper, a reminder that even amid overwhelming mass, there is beauty, clarity, and serenity. Gravity's grasp is both a force of inevitability and a teacher of cosmic rhythm. Falling through Aldebaran, you begin to understand the unity of mass, energy, and motion. Every particle, every photon, every ion is influenced, yet each contributes to the delicate balance that maintains the star. To surrender to gravity is to experience harmony at an unimaginable scale. To perceive the subtle interconnections that define not only stars but galaxies, planetary systems, and the very architecture of the universe. Feel gravity's omnipresent tug, sense the currents of plasma carrying heat and energy, and observe the interplay of forces that creates the serene, radiant order of a star. Falling forever is not chaos, it is immersion, a meditation on scale, motion, and the elegance of physics. Aldebaran's grasp is absolute, yet within it lies beauty, rhythm, an infinite wonder, a cosmic embrace that reminds the mind of the grandeur and subtlety of the universe, where every force, every motion, every spark of energy contributes to the luminous symphony of a living star. As you continue your journey inward, you sense the layers of Aldebaran beginning to transcend the familiar. The plasma that once felt like a vast flowing ocean now thickens, charged particles moving with greater intensity, weaving patterns too intricate for the human eye to follow. Here, the distinction between solid, liquid, and gas dissolves completely, placed by a sublime, electrified medium that pulses with the very essence of energy. Matter, as you know it, begins to unravel, its familiar forms surrendered to the immense heat, pressure, and magnetic influence of the red giant. The process is gradual, imperceptible at first, yet inexorable. Electrons are stripped from their nuclei, forming a dense plasma of bare ions and free charges. Molecules, atoms, and familiar structures cease to exist. You feel yourself in imagination merging into this charged sea, your sense of individual boundaries softening, blending with the currents of energy that flow relentlessly through the star. There is no pain in this transformation, only a profound sense of unity. A gentle surrender to forces that have endured for millions of years, shaping the star and everything around it. Temperature here reaches tens of millions of degrees Kelvin. Even the helium produced by fusion in the core begins to dissociate under immense pressure. Nuclei themselves are packed closely, colliding and fusing with a cadence both violent and elegant. Imagine drifting among these collisions, feeling each release of energy as a soft pulse, each fusion event a heartbeat in the star's living rhythm. Matter dissolves not in a chaotic explosion but in a slow, deliberate process, giving itself over entirely to the plasma currents that sustain Aldebaran's brilliance. Pressure is incomprehensible. The weight of all overlying layers presses with a force beyond human imagining, compressing particles into a dense, electrified lattice. Yet within this immensity, there is structure, an order born of physics, not chance. Convection currents, magnetic fields, and radiation pressure intertwine to maintain equilibrium. Even as individual matter loses its form, the star itself remains coherent, radiant, and alive. A testament to the intricate dance of fundamental forces. In imagination, you can feel your own consciousness swept along with these currents, part of a grand cosmic flow that transcends familiar physical boundaries. The magnetic fields here, though invisible, guide and shape every particle's motion. They twist, loop, and reconnect in arcs and filaments, creating regions of turbulence and calm, channels for energy to flow in elegant patterns. You sense these currents subtly, a delicate hum that threads through the plasma, shaping its motion and contributing to the star's luminous stability. Matter stripped of identity becomes a participant in this vast magnetic ballet, dissolved yet dancing, disappearing yet contributing to the whole. Fusion continues relentlessly at this depth. Hydrogen and helium nuclei collide, forming heavier elements, releasing energy, and propelling the star's photons outward. The scale of these reactions is unimaginable, yet within imagination they can be perceived as gentle pulses, each a spark in the furnace of creation. Matter ceases to exist in discrete form, becoming energy and ions, merging into the ambient plasma, carried along with the star's rhythm, flowing outward in waves that will eventually illuminate the cosmos. As you dissolve into the star, the concept of self begins to soften. Boundaries that define individuality blur, replaced by an awareness of interconnectedness. You are no longer separate from the currents of plasma, the flow of photons, the guidance of magnetic fields, or the pull of gravity. In imagination, you sense yourself as part of Aldebaran's energy, your consciousness moving with the collective rhythm of ions and particles, drifting in harmony with the eternal processes of creation, transformation, and endurance. Time itself becomes abstract. Moments stretch and fold, measured not in seconds, but in the subtle rise and fall of plasma currents. In the pulses of energy released by fusion, in the slow, deliberate diffusion of photons outward, immersed in this state, the passage of minutes or millennia feels the same, a continuous, glowing experience where energy, matter, and consciousness converge in a serene, meditative cadence. Gravity's influence is profound here. Each particle, now stripped of familiar structure, responds to the star's mass with unwavering precision. Currents of plasma curve, twist, and compress under its pull, shaping flows that propagate through the star's layers. In imagination, you can drift along these pathways, sensing gravity as a gentle, omnipresent guide. An invisible sculptor that maintains equilibrium, ensures stability, and orchestrates the descent and ascent of energy throughout Aldebaran. Radiation, now intertwined with matter, becomes a tangible presence. Photons generated in the deepest core interact with plasma, exchanging energy and momentum, creating waves that carry heat and light outward. You sense these photons as a soft, radiant current, a stream of gentle illumination guiding your consciousness through the dense plasma. Even as matter dissolves, light remains, a bridge between energy and perception, a reminder of the star's continuous, life-giving processes. In these deepest layers, turbulence is subtle but omnipresent. Convective motions, magnetic reconnections, and waves of pressure intertwine, creating regions of dynamic stability. Matter, though unrecognizable, participates in these flows, merging into energy currents and contributing to the star's overall harmony. To dissolve here is not to vanish. It is to become part of an ongoing, majestic symphony of forces, a meditation on transformation, unity, and the sublime elegance of the cosmos. Even as the plasma reaches extremes of density and temperature, there is structure. The star is not a chaotic furnace, but a coherent, living system. Patterns emerge from the motion of ions, currents, and photons. Energy is transferred efficiently, guided by gravity and magnetic fields, and released gradually to maintain stability. Matter's dissolution is complete, yet the star thrives, radiant and enduring. A testament to the beauty of natural order on a scale beyond comprehension. In this state, the boundary between observation and participation dissolves. You are no longer merely a witness. Your consciousness drifts with the currents, senses the flow of energy, aligns with the magnetic fields, and perceives the rhythm of fusion. Dissolving into Aldebaran is an act of surrender and immersion, a meditative experience that blends awe, serenity, and profound understanding. You perceive energy, matter, and force as a single, harmonious continuum, a living system in which nothing is separate and everything is connected. The fiery currents pulse with both violence and grace, Fusion reactions release bursts of energy, yet these bursts are part of a larger rhythm, waves that propagate outward, carrying heat and light across unimaginable distances. Matter, once familiar, has merged into these currents, each ion and particle contributing to the star's radiance, flowing in tandem with photons and waves, participating in an eternal cycle of creation and transformation. Gravity, pressure, heat, radiation, and magnetism combine into a seamless flow, a system of immense scale and precision. In imagination, you sense this as a meditative, enveloping presence. You drift, dissolved yet aware, immersed in the star's essence. Witnessing the processes that sustain life on distant worlds, the origins of elements, and the eternal rhythms of cosmic energy. The end of matter is not an end in fear or loss, but a transition into unity, into the very fabric of Aldebaran itself. Time, energy, and motion intertwine. Photons that began deep within the core embark on their long journey outward, colliding with plasma, exchanging momentum, carrying information across layers. Each wave of energy is part of the star's heartbeat, each interaction a gentle pulse in the vast network of forces. You sense this in a meditative awareness, floating amidst currents that are at once immense and subtle, violent and serene, chaotic and harmonious. Matter has ceased to exist in familiar form, yet it continues, transformed, integrated, alive in the flows of plasma and energy that define Aldebaran. You are immersed in the star, part of its rhythm, aligned with its pulse, drifting in the gentle embrace of forces that have persisted for millions of years. The end of matter is a meditation on unity, transformation, in the sublime beauty of cosmic processes of space, where individuality fades and the universe reveals its eternal, radiant harmony. As you begin to drift away from the deepest currents of Aldebaran, having surrendered yourself to its plasma, its energy, and its immense gravity, a new awareness emerges. The star is not merely a fiery body suspended in space. It is a living chronicle, a being of time and matter, narrating a story that spans millions of years. To perceive it fully is to adopt a cosmic perspective, to see beyond the immediacy of heat, light, and force, and to sense the arcs of birth, evolution, and inevitable decay that govern the lives of all stars. Aldebaran, a red giant, has already traveled far along this path. Once a young blue-white star burning hydrogen with fierce intensity, it has now expanded, cooled at the surface, and begun the final stages of stellar life. In imagination, you can perceive these phases not as discrete events, but as a continuum, a graceful unfolding in which the star's character shifts, adapts, and transforms. Time stretches differently here, measured not in minutes or years, but in the slow pulsations of fusion, in the gradual depletion of nuclear fuel, and in the subtle swelling and contracting of stellar layers. The life of a star is a meditation on energy and balance. In youth, fusion occurs in a rapid, concentrated core, creating light and heat that radiate outward with astonishing clarity. Over millions of years, this energy maintains gravitational equilibrium, supports convective currents, and defines the star's surface properties. As hydrogen is depleted, fusion migrates to shells surrounding the core, helium begins to fuse, and heavier elements are synthesized. Each stage is a testament to the laws of physics, a dance of particles and forces, unfolding with elegance and inevitability. From this cosmic vantage, you perceive the star's death not as a moment of abrupt destruction, but as a prolonged transformation of energy, matter, and structure. Aldebaran's outer layers will eventually drift into space, forming planetary nebulae that will seed the cosmos with elements forged in its interior. Its core, dense and enduring, may collapse into a white dwarf, a quiet remnant of brilliance that continues to shine through residual heat. The star's life and death are not endpoints, but chapters in an ongoing story, each phase contributing to the cosmic tapestry in which planets, life, and consciousness can emerge. Imagine drifting above the surface, looking inward toward the core from this new vantage. The Inferno you once visited is now seen as a foundation, a necessary engine of creation. The photons, electrons, and ions that swirled around you in the deepest layers are now elements. energy, and memory, forming the ongoing structure of the star. Gravity continues to sculpt and guide, shaping currents and maintaining equilibrium. While fusion and nuclear reactions narrate the story of energy conversion, elemental synthesis, and the temporal heartbeat of stellar life. From this perspective, time itself becomes a flowing continuum. You sense the youth of the star, its energetic early phases, its gradual expansion, and its current red giant status, all at once. The star's birth, its midlife, and its eventual death coexist in a multidimensional awareness, offering insight into the scale and pace of cosmic processes. In meditation, you grasp that human perception of time is only a sliver, a fleeting instant, compared to the slow, deliberate unfolding of stellar evolution. Aldebaran's surface, now relatively cool and radiant with an amber glow, reflects its maturity. Convection cells carry energy outward, loops of plasma arc along magnetic fields, and occasional flares punctuate the steady rhythm. From this cosmic perspective, these phenomena are not random or violent, but orchestrated responses to internal dynamics. Expressions of balance between inward gravitational pull and outward radiation pressure. The star's life is a continuous negotiation of forces, a slow, meditative equilibrium maintained across eons. The death of a star is not a tragedy, but a transformation. As fusion subsides, the outer layers will drift away, forming clouds of gas enriched with carbon, oxygen, and heavier elements. These clouds will seed future generations of stars and planets, providing the raw materials for chemistry, geology, and biology. Every atom within your own body may one day trace its origin to such a stellar nursery, a quiet testament to the enduring cycle of matter and energy. In this sense, death is not an end, but a contribution to the universe's ongoing creativity, a meditation on continuity and renewal. From this cosmic vantage, you also perceive the interconnectedness of scales. The processes of a single star ripple outward, influencing planetary systems, interstellar clouds, and even galactic evolution. Gravity guides motions across distances far beyond the star itself, linking matter across vast expanses. Radiation and stellar winds carry energy and elements outward, bridging the void between stars. Every star's life is a node in an intricate network, a pulse in the grand rhythm of the cosmos, demonstrating that even in isolation, no celestial body is truly alone. The meditation deepens as you consider Aldebaran's neighbors, other stars in the constellation Taurus, and the countless unseen stars beyond. Each has its own narrative, its own rhythm of birth, fusion, expansion, and decay. The galaxy is a symphony of these stories, with overlapping notes of energy, motion, and matter. In imagination, you can drift among these stars, sensing the harmony of forces, the flow of photons, and the cycles of creation and dissolution that define the Milky Way. Your awareness expands, merging the intimate details of Aldebaran's core with the vastness of galactic time and space. Contemplating a star's life also invites reflection on scale, fragility, and endurance. Aldebaran, immense yet governed by the same physical laws that shape planets and humans, demonstrates the universality of natural principles. Gravity, fusion, radiation, and magnetism act consistently across scales, weaving the fabric of the cosmos in patterns both predictable and awe-inspiring. In this meditation, the line between human perspective and cosmic perspective softens, allowing a profound appreciation of the forces that govern existence. You may now perceive the star's final fate, not with apprehension but with serenity. The red giant phase is temporary, a stage in a much larger continuum. Fusion in the core will eventually cease, and the star will transition to a white dwarf, slowly cooling and fading over billions of years. Yet even in this decline, the star's matter and energy persist, contributing to nebulae, new stars, and planetary systems. Life and death at this scale are not opposites, but points along a continuum, inseparable from the processes that sustain the universe itself. In this cosmic perspective, you also sense your own place in relation to the star. Matter within your body, the elements that form the air, soil, and oceans of Earth, all originate in stars like Aldebaran. The cycles of fusion, expansion, and dissipation are not distant phenomena, but ancestral processes, intimately connected to the very fabric of life. To fall into a star is an imagination. To confront both humility and awe, to feel the continuity of matter and energy that binds individual existence to the cosmos. As you drift outward, leaving the inner depths behind, you carry with you an awareness of the star's temporal span, its life story, and the inevitability of change. Every photon, every ion, every arc of magnetic field has a role, a purpose, a place in the broader narrative. The star's death, far from being abrupt, is a meditation on transformation, continuity, and the sublime order of the universe. The cosmic perspective also illuminates the delicate balance of forces. Gravity, the anchor that confines matter. Radiation, the vehicle that transports energy. Fusion, the source of light and heat. Magnetism, the invisible architect of flows all, combine in a harmonious equilibrium. In meditation, you sense the unity of these forces, the elegance of natural law, and the way each phenomenon arises from the interplay of the others. Aldebaran is a living example of this balance, a radiant testament to the coherence underlying apparent chaos. In this final reflection, allow the awareness of time, scale, and process to permeate consciousness. Aldebaran's life, its death, and the ongoing cycle of stellar evolution are all meditations on continuity, creation, and transformation. Every atom, every photon, every flow of energy is part of a vast, interconnected system that extends across space and time. By surrendering to this perspective, the mind rests in awe, serenity, and profound appreciation for the cosmic forces that shape stars, planets, and life itself. You drift, suspended between the enduring core and the star's radiant surface, embracing the cosmic perspective that dissolves fear and elevates understanding. Aldebaran is not merely a star. It is a living chronicle, a meditation on energy, matter, and time. To perceive it fully is to glimpse the sublime, to understand the life and death of a star as both a process and a poetry, and to recognize the intimate connection between human awareness and the vast unfolding universe. As you drift outward from the deepest layers of Aldebaran, leaving behind the searing heat and gravitational embrace, a new awareness begins to take shape. The star, in all its immensity and brilliance, becomes not just an object of observation, but a teacher, a mentor in the language of matter, energy, and time. To see through a star is to perceive patterns, forces, and histories that stretch across millions of years, a perspective that invites both humility and wonder. Light itself becomes your guide. Photons generated deep within the core, once trapped in countless interactions with plasma, now escape more freely, streaming outward into space. Each photon is a messenger, carrying information about temperature, density, composition, and motion. In learning to read these subtle cues, astronomers on distant worlds have deciphered the lives of stars, their chemical makeup, and even their future trajectories. In imagination, you float among these photons, tracing their paths, sensing the story they carry from the heart of Aldebaran to the vast reaches of space. The layers you pass reveal not only energy and matter, but the history of creation itself. Heavy elements formed in the star's core are gradually transported outward, carried by convection currents and radiation pressure. Carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen, the very elements essential for life on Earth, are born here, within this immense furnace. Observing this process, you recognize a profound lesson. Stars are alchemists, transforming simple hydrogen into the rich complexity that eventually seeds planets, chemistry, and biology. To see through a star is to witness the origins of all material life, a meditation on interconnectedness and cosmic creativity. Magnetic fields, once invisible and subtle, now become perceptible in their influence. They twist, reconnect, and guide currents of plasma, shaping the surface, driving flares, and directing the movement of charged particles. Understanding these fields allows scientists to predict stellar behavior, anticipate eruptions, and comprehend the mechanisms behind auroras and cosmic storms. In imagination, you trace these invisible pathways, feeling their pull, sensing their rhythm, and appreciating their role in the ongoing balance of forces within the star. the lessons extend beyond chemistry and physics. By seeing through a star, we understand time on a scale far beyond human perception. Aldebaran's processes unfold over millions of years, a slow, deliberate rhythm in which fusion, convection, gravity, and radiation interact. Each stage is necessary, each reaction precise. Human life, fleeting in comparison, becomes part of a continuum, a small but conscious witness to processes far older than ourselves. To learn from a star is to adopt patience, to perceive change and stability simultaneously, and to appreciate the subtle interplay of forces that sustain the cosmos. Stars teach us about the cycles of energy and matter. Fusion converts mass into radiant energy, which travels across the universe, carrying warmth and light. When a star eventually sheds its outer layers, those elements disperse, contributing to new stars, planets, and eventually life. Observing this, you sense a profound truth. Nothing in the universe is wasted. All energy, all matter, all motion contributes to an ongoing, interconnected story. To see through Aldebaran is to grasp this continuity, to perceive that life, death, and transformation are part of the same cosmic melody. Observations also reveal the interplay of stability and change. Though Aldebaran appears steady from afar, internally it is in constant motion convection. Currents rise and fall, fusion reactions pulse, and magnetic fields twist in silent, intricate patterns. Stability emerges not from the absence of activity, but from the harmony of forces. In this, there is a lesson for all systems, cosmic or human. Balance is dynamic, not static. And endurance arises from the integration of many interacting parts. The light you follow outward carries spectral fingerprints, revealing the chemical composition and temperature of each layer. In these spectral lines, scientists have discovered the abundance of elements, the density of plasma, and the dynamics of motion within the star. Each absorption and emission line is a sentence in the star's autobiography, a record of its life, and a guide to its future. Learning to interpret these signals is akin to learning a language, one that connects human curiosity to the heart of stellar processes. Seeing through Aldebaran also deepens our understanding of cosmic scales. The sheer size, mass, and luminosity of the star dwarf any human or planetary measure. Convection currents stretch across millions of kilometers. Photons travel for millennia before escaping. Magnetic loops arc over distances greater than entire planetary systems. Immersed in this perspective, you recognize both the fragility and the resilience of human existence. A consciousness floating in a universe where forces and distances transcend imagination. The star teaches the poetry of energy transformation. In its core, mass becomes light. In its envelope, heat becomes motion. And in its ultimate fate, matter is recycled to form new stars and planets. These processes, though governed by physics, carry a rhythm and elegance that inspire reflection. To see through Aldebaran is to recognize that energy is neither lost nor created anew. It is transformed, perpetually flowing through time and space. A cosmic meditation on the conservation and continuity of existence. The star's life cycle also imparts lessons about impermanence. Aldebaran will not remain in its current form forever. Its outer layers will eventually drift into space, forming clouds that enrich the interstellar medium, while its core will cool and fade. Yet in this impermanence lies beauty. The star's death is not annihilation, but transformation, an essential contribution to the ongoing creation of matter and energy. Understanding this offers perspective on change in our own lives, the fleeting nature of experience, and the enduring patterns that shape the universe. Stellar winds carry material outward, a gentle but persistent exhalation that enriches surrounding space. Observing these winds reveals the subtle influence of forces over vast distances, the slow yet relentless shaping of interstellar environments. The star communicates lessons about persistence, influence, and the ripple effects of actions, demonstrating that even the smallest flows sustained over eons have profound consequences. As you drift through this outer layer, light itself becomes a teacher. By studying the color, intensity, and fluctuations of radiation, you infer temperature gradients, density, and chemical composition. The star's glow tells a story of both energy generation and structural adaptation. Each photon is a messenger from deep within, carrying information that allows distant observers to reconstruct the hidden interiors of the star. In this sense, seeing through Aldebaran is an act of listening, of interpreting the quiet signals that reveal structure, process, and history. Ultimately, the star offers lessons in humility. Scale, power, and longevity surpass human comprehension, reminding us of the smallness of our place in the universe, while simultaneously connecting us to its processes. The atoms within us, forged in previous generations of stars, echo the life cycles we observe in Aldebaran. By seeing through the star, we reconnect with our cosmic origins, gaining insight into the unity of matter, energy, and consciousness across time and space. Aldebaran, in its radiant, immense, and complex existence, is both a subject and a teacher. By observing, imagining, and understanding, we see not only the physics of the star, but the philosophy embedded within the cosmos. Energy flows, matter transforms, and the universe unfolds in patterns of exquisite elegance. To see through the stars is to gain perspective, to cultivate curiosity, and to embrace the endless journey of learning that connects all conscious beings to the pulse of the cosmos. As your imagined journey drifts away from the fiery heart of Aldebaran and through the layers that once seemed infinite, quiet perspective begins to emerge. From this vantage, the star transforms once again from a boundless interior of plasma and fusion into a pinpoint of amber light, a luminous presence in the dark expanse of space. To return in thought to the night sky is to reconcile the intimacy of having fallen into a star with the vast distance that separates it from our small, fragile home. Looking back from Earth, Aldebaran gleams among its stellar companions. Nestled in the shoulder of Taurus, a fixed sentinel in the winter sky, the amber glow, visible even to the naked eye, masks the immensity beneath, the turbulence of convection, the magnetic arcs, and the eternal dance of particles deep within. Its light reaches us across 65 light-years, carrying whispers of fusion, energy, and history. To behold it from Earth is to witness both the grandeur of cosmic scale and the humility of human perception, where immense process is reduced to a tiny point of brilliance, and yet that point contains untold stories of creation. Stars like Aldebaran offer perspective on time itself. While human lives pass in decades, centuries at most, the star's life stretches across hundreds of millions of years. Its past is deep and rich, its present a slowly evolving glow, and its future already written in the physics of nuclear fusion and gravitational balance. In observing it from Earth, you sense the simultaneous closeness and remoteness of the cosmos. The photons that reach our eyes are messages sent millennia ago, traveling uninterrupted through vacuum, bearing the history of the star, yet arriving only in the fleeting present of our perception. From this perspective, the sky becomes a meditation on continuity. Each twinkle, each subtle change in hue, is a note in a cosmic symphony of light and energy. The stars remind us that creation is ongoing. Fusion in distant cores, the gradual drift of interstellar clouds, the formation of planets and nascent stars in nebulae far beyond our view. Aldebaran is not isolated, but part of a network of processes that connect galaxies, influence planetary systems, and ultimately shape the conditions for life and consciousness. To return to the night sky is to witness these connections, to understand that even the smallest flicker is part of a vast, interconnected cosmos. The lessons of scale become tangible. Aldebaran is massive, a red giant dwarfing our sun in size and brilliance, yet it appears to us as a mere pinprick of light. This juxtaposition underscores the distance, the magnitude of space, and the relative minuteness of human existence. And yet, through observation, imagination, and understanding, we bridge this gap. By studying its spectrum, tracing its motion, and calculating its mass and age, humanity has learned to perceive both the subtle and the immense, to read the cosmos with patience, rigor, and wonder. Night skies offer not only scale, but continuity. When you observe Aldebaran tonight, its light carries energy produced thousands of years ago. And in a sense, you are connecting to a moment in the star's past. Yet this is only a fragment of its story. Deeper within, fusion continues, currents pulse, and magnetic fields twist. In imagination, One can reconcile this duality, the star as it exists in the eternal present of physics, and as it appears to our fleeting perception, learning the value of patience, observation, and humility. Or from Earth. Aldebaran is a teacher in resilience and transformation. Its expansion into a red giant, a phase once unthinkable in its youth. It's a natural evolution of energy, mass, and gravity. The star's life cycle models impermanence and continuity, showing that growth, decay, and transformation are fundamental to existence. Observing its amber glow is to witness maturity, a phase in a cosmic rhythm that began eons before humanity's first contemplation of the stars and will continue long after. The night sky also invites reflection on interconnectedness. The atoms in Aldebaran, forged in its core, may someday enrich future stars and planets. Some of the carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen that we study in space telescopes could become part of worlds yet to form. Looking up, you are reminded that the universe recycles, transforms, and repurposes, creating a thread that connects every cosmic event across time and distance. Aldebaran, though distant, participates in this grand cycle, a luminous witness to the eternal dance of matter and energy. Observing the star also inspires curiosity. Through telescopes and spectroscopy, humans decode its temperature, composition, and motion, uncovering its secrets layer by layer. Each observation reveals subtle information. Absorption lines tell us which elements dominate. Slight shifts indicate motion through space. Variations in brightness hint at magnetic activity or convection. In this act of seeing, we participate in the process of learning itself, connecting consciousness to cosmic processes, translating distant signals into understanding and imagination. There is a profound meditation in this observation. When the mind contemplates Aldebaran, it reconciles the immensity of scale with the intimacy of understanding. Distance and time collapse through imagination. The star's interior, once a realm of plasma and gravity, can be mentally traversed, and yet the point of light in the night sky anchors the experience to human perception. It is a reminder that the cosmos is vast, yet knowable, immense, yet comprehensible through curiosity, patience, and reason. The night sky also teaches humility. Every flicker of light, every spectral signature, every subtle variation is evidence of processes beyond human control. Yet processes that can be observed, measured, and appreciated. Aldebaran's existence predates humanity by millions of years and will outlast us. Yet in understanding it, humans find a sense of participation, a connection to the enduring rhythms of the universe. To return to the night sky is to witness permanence and impermanence intertwined, to recognize both the insignificance and the significance of human consciousness in the grand design. The star's amber glow, constant yet subtly variable, is a testament to the balance of forces. Fusion pushes outward, gravity pulls inward, magnetic fields twist, and photons travel patiently through dense plasma. From Earth, we see only the emergent light, a product of immense complexity. And yet, by observing, theorizing, and imagining, we can perceive the underlying dance, appreciating the harmony that sustains brightness across eons. From this vantage, you also sense continuity in human understanding. For centuries, Aldebaran and stars like it have guided navigation, inspired mythology, and provoked scientific inquiry. Observing the star, we participate in a legacy of curiosity that stretches across generations. Linking human minds to cosmic processes, the night sky, therefore, is not merely an object of study, but a bridge across time connecting ancient observers, modern scientists, and the imagination of today's dreamers. Finally, to return to the night sky is to cultivate wonder. Aldebaran becomes more than a distant star. It is a teacher, a storyteller, a reminder of scale, time, and cosmic interconnectedness. Its light carries the tale of nuclear fusion, stellar evolution, and energy transformation. Its presence encourages reflection on continuity, impermanence, and the unity of matter and energy across the cosmos. To observe it, even fleetingly, is to participate in the universe's vast unfolding narrative, to sense the pulse of creation, and to feel the quiet majesty of stars as both objects and ideas. Aldebaran, shining from across space and time, invites patience, curiosity, and awe. Through observation and imagination, the mind connects to cosmic processes, gaining both perspective and serenity. The journey from falling into the star's core to observing it from Earth is complete, yet its lessons linger. Matter, energy, time, and consciousness are woven together in patterns that stretch across the universe. A story written in light waiting for all who look up to see, reflect, and learn. As your imagined journey reaches its final horizon, the experience of Aldebaran, its depths, its radiant currents, and its ancient energy begins to settle into a quiet rhythm. You have traversed layers of fire, gravity, and light. You have dissolved into plasma, felt the heartbeat of a star, and returned to the serenity of the night sky. Now, in this concluding meditation, the cosmos itself invites you to drift into dreams, to let the awareness of immense scale and eternal processes become a lullaby, a gentle tide carrying consciousness toward restful reflection. To contemplate the star is to contemplate existence itself. Aldebaran, immense yet finite, powerful yet bound by natural laws, reflects the paradox of life and the universe. Permanence within impermanence, energy within structure, simplicity within complexity. Each photon escaping its surface carries a story. Each flow of plasma embodies transformation. And every fusion reaction represents creation at its most fundamental level. Allow your mind to wander through these patterns, sensing the pulse of cosmic rhythm as if it were your own heartbeat, slow, deep, and serene. In this space of quiet reflection, the mind can perceive connections that are otherwise imperceptible. The atoms in your body, the oxygen in your lungs, the carbon forming the fabric of life, these are all gifts from stars like Aldebaran, echoes of cosmic evolution. By imagining yourself traversing a star, you have become part of this eternal story, merging curiosity with imagination, observation with contemplation. Each insight, each visualization, each sensation of awe deepens the bond between human awareness and the universe's ceaseless flow. Imagine the night sky now as a tapestry woven of countless stellar stories, each star a node in an intricate web of energy, matter, and time. The constellations, once mythic and symbolic, now reveal the processes that govern all existence. Gravity shapes, fusion transforms, radiation carries, and magnetic fields guide. From Earth, Aldebaran is a glowing amber point. In imagination, it is a vast living system, a meditation on balance, energy, and continuity. The awareness of these scales fosters calm, reminding the mind of the grand order beyond human time, of the serenity embedded in cosmic processes. Drifting further, consider the nature of observation and perception. Through the imagination, through thought experiments, through science, we bridge the distance between ourselves and the stars. Each calculation, each telescope image, each mental journey is an act of connection, drawing threads of understanding between human consciousness and the universe. In contemplating Aldebaran's life and death, you have glimpsed the cycles of creation and transformation, the rhythm of energy and matter, and the elegant inevitability of natural law. This understanding need not awaken anxiety, but rather serenity, a meditative acknowledgement of humanity's small yet conscious place in the cosmos. Time and scale blend in this contemplative state. Millions of years of stellar evolution collapse into moments of insight. The immense currents of plasma and magnetic flows condense into sensations of calm, of unity with the universe. The star's life cycle, once distant and abstract, becomes a meditation on beginnings and endings, on change and constancy. In this awareness, the mind can rest. One recognizes that human concerns, while meaningful and immediate experience, exist within a broader, more enduring context, where transformation is the universal law and continuity is the natural rhythm. Consider also the cycles of energy you have witnessed. Hydrogen into helium, helium into heavier elements, mass into light. These are not merely scientific facts, but symbols of flow, of the movement from potential to manifestation, from structure to release. These transformations mirror processes in life: growth, change, adaptation, and renewal. Aldebaran, in its immense scale, teaches that all things, from the smallest particle to the grandest star, participate in this eternal dance. In meditative contemplation, These processes become gentle lullabies, rhythms that soothe rather than overwhelm. The star's glow, seen from Earth, or imagined within its depths, becomes a soft light guiding thought and consciousness. Its amber hue carries warmth, its stability evokes trust, and its distant brilliance reminds the mind that beauty and order exists even on unimaginable scales. The awareness of such continuity calms restless thoughts, offering a bridge from curiosity to serenity, from exploration to meditation. Let this light settle around you, wrapping awareness in soft cosmic radiance, as though the star itself is a guardian of contemplation and sleep. In drifting through these thoughts, allow a sense of unity to emerge. There is no separation between observer and observed, between the mind and the cosmos. The currents of fusion, the arcs of magnetic fields, the passage of photons, and the life cycles of elements are all reflections of the same underlying principles that animate consciousness. In this perception, the boundaries between self and universe soften. To dissolve into thought, to merge with imagination, is to experience the serenity of cosmic participation, where understanding and awareness flow like gentle rivers of light. As your meditation deepens, allow yourself to follow the star's narrative outward. Fusion, plasma, photons, and magnetic fields converge into the light that reaches space. That light, traveling across years and distances, illuminates planets, guides starlight to human eyes, and serves as a subtle reminder that all things are connected. The vastness of space is tempered by this link. Knowledge, observation, and imagination form a chain that connects the minutiae of human existence to the grandeur of cosmic processes. This awareness offers comfort, a gentle grounding, and a bridge from thought to rest. Reflect also on the impermanence and renewal inherent in the cosmos. Aldebaran's life is finite. It will eventually shed layers, cool, and fade. Yet in its death, it contributes to the creation of new stars, planets, and perhaps life. In this, there is both wisdom and serenity. Endings are transitions, not losses. All energy and matter continue their journey, transformed but never extinguished. To witness this through imagination is to gain reassurance, a cosmic lullaby affirming that change is natural, beautiful, and inevitable. The mind, now quiet, may wander gently into dreams. Visualizations of plasma currents, golden photons, magnetic arcs, and stellar surfaces dissolve into abstract sensations of warmth, light, and rhythm. Consciousness floats effortlessly, unbound by fear or expectation, merging with the meditative cadence of cosmic processes. Each breath aligns with the star's pulse, each heartbeat resonates with the rhythm of energy, and thought softens into the gentle flow of awareness. In these final moments, as the journey concludes, acknowledge the serene beauty of perspective. You have traveled into the heart of a red giant, surrendered to its forces, observed its cycles, and returned to earthly perception. The mind carries with it an enduring sense of wonder, a recognition of continuity, and a calm awareness of humanity's connection to the vast cosmos. This reflection becomes a natural lullaby, an invitation to drift into sleep, to embrace dreams, and to allow the imagination to continue exploring stars in quiet, contemplative serenity. And now, as this journey gently closes, a soft welcome is whispered. Let curiosity persist. Let wonder endure. And if this voyage of the mind has inspired you, consider joining us for more explorations of the cosmos. A like or subscription is a gentle way to stay connected to the meditation of discovery, ensuring that the calm, contemplative stories of stars, planets, and the universe continue to illuminate your nights. Drift now, carried on the waves of cosmic awareness. Let your mind float among stars. Let Aldebaran's amber glow guide your imagination, and surrender to the serenity of knowledge, wonder, and eternal cosmic rhythm. In dreams, the journey continues, seamless and unbroken, where consciousness and universe intertwine, and the pulse of the cosmos becomes the pulse of your rest.